Hey, what up, what up? What's going on? It's your boy B to the Dubs, and this is the next episode of the Humanity Project podcast. Thanks for joining me. And like I always say, if you are a first time listener or viewer of the podcast, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, this is going to be something enriching and something that you can take with you. And if you're a returning listener or a viewer, thank you for coming back. I definitely appreciate all the support and the love. Let's go ahead and get all the housekeeping things out of the way first. Like I said, thank you for joining me on the Humanity Project podcast. This is a new podcast and it explores how we can fit compassion into our lives and also the lives of other people. You know, how we can go about treating each other better and also treating ourselves better. You can join the community on Instagram or Facebook. All you got to do is just type in the Humanity Project Podcast, simple enough, and you can follow everything that's going on. You can also subscribe to our new YouTube channel, all right? The Humanity Project Podcast. That's all you got to do. Type that in the box, and the logo will show up, no doubt. And you can also give us feedback if there's something that you want to hear or something that you liked or something that you want to discuss on the show. Feel free to email us at thehumanityprojectpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's thehumanityprojectpodcast@gmail.com. It's such an honor for you to be here with me. And it's also a privilege for me to be able to, share some information with you. I really take compassion seriously because a lot of what I do in my role in my job is to provide compassion and support to people. And I believe that compassion is the missing link right now in the world. We see a lot of stuff going on. We got, a war going on right now in Europe. And, we got people who are just so, driven. I want to say driven. I do want to say that, but it just seems like it's such an individualized world right now, and people aren't interacting, and people are not networking, and it just seems like an all for one. I'm sorry, not all for one, but um, you know, uh, everyone for himself. Let's just say that everyone for himself type world right now, and we need compassion. We need each other right now more than ever, I believe. Because we got so many people that are down and out and down on their luck and, not knowing where they're going to find help. And it's up to us to help one another. Okay. We're not going to get help from anywhere else. So we've got to be able to help one another, and with the help of God and with prayer, he helps us, but he also sends people to help us. And he sends you that intuition that says, I need to help that person. If you ignore it, then that's on you. But I would really suggest that you try and show some compassion. Whether it's to your family members or to your friends or to your coworkers or to stranger on the street. All right, a little help goes a very long way. So we want to be compassionate to one another. Now, we have talked about being able to show compassion to ourselves. The last few shows, we've talked about self care. We've talked about protecting your triggers. We've talked about self compassion. This week, we're going to talk about another issue with self, and I think this one is very important, and it speaks to how you feel about you, and it's self love. Right? Self love. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about self love. We're going to talk about what it is. Okay, we're going to talk about how come we don't do it, and also ways that we can do better at self love. Right? Self love is important because if you don't love yourself, how can you expect to love others? And how can you expect somebody else to want to love you if you don't love yourself? Right? And for me, I've had these issues before. I've had these obstacles in my way where I felt like I wasn't worth it, where I felt like There were things that I needed to do and I didn't know how to do them. I had feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness and, wondering if I would ever, measure up to what other people thought. And the thing about self love is that it doesn't have anything to do with what anybody else thinks. It all has to do with what you think about you, how you feel about you. And we'll talk about those things. And I think it's very, very important to know that self love is something that definitely comes from within. That's why it's called self love. Nobody else can give it to you. You have to be able to generate that yourself. And we'll talk about ways that you can help to generate self love. All right. Once again, this is the Humanity Project Podcast. I'm your host, B Dubs, and we're talking about self love today on the Humanity Project Podcast. So get your seatbelts ready because we're going to talk about some stuff that maybe, it might, go right down your street, which is fine because, when I looked at this, a lot of these things really hit home for me. And I know if they hit home for me, then they'll touch you in some type of way. So let's just explore what self-love is first. All right, we're gonna talk about what it is. And if I were to give you a definition of self-love, it's the state of appreciation for oneself that grows from actions that support our total growth. Okay, so it's how you appreciate yourself from actions that support your growth. All right, and your growth means physically, mentally, and spiritually. We talked about those three, last week when we were talking about, protecting your triggers. So you've got to learn in self-love. I think the first step is to be able to appreciate yourself, appreciate the things that you can do. And as weird as it might sound, you have to also appreciate the things that you can't do, because if you don't realize what you can't do, you can't ask for help. All right? You can't go and, seek out resources to help you do the things that, you might have opportunities with. So you've got to appreciate what you can and you cannot do. Okay. So self-love is how you appreciate yourself. And what self-love really means is it means having a high regard for your own well-being and happiness. Let me say that one more time. All right. Having high regard for your own well-being and happiness. So many times we will sacrifice ourselves for, other things and other people, and we don't take time to think about what it is that we need. Now, I know a lot of people that do, and that comes with age and maturity. You figure out, after you have raised your kids and they might be out of the house and now you can, do some things for you that you enjoy. I get it. But sometimes it takes you learning what you need right now so that you can be a higher functioning person. You've got to know that you need fuel just like you give fuel to other people. Okay. Okay. So what happens when you go to a gas station, you bring your car, which needs gas, and you fill your tank up with gas and you go? What happens when the gas station is out of gas? Then what do? Okay. Nobody can do anything because the gas station is out of gas. So the gas station is really no good to anybody. So that's how you should view yourself as the gas station. If you've continuously got a new shipment coming in of fresh fuel, then okay, that's fine. All right. So that you can give fuel to other folks. The thousands of cars that come into the gas station, you would never know that there was a problem unless there was no gas at the gas station. Once the gas is gone, then you can't get any gas put in your own car. Okay. So look at yourself as the gas station. All right. Are you getting enough to where you can give enough? We do that all the time with our kids and our family. We do it with work. We do it with church. We give so much and give so much, and we burn it at both ends, and then we wonder why we are tired and run down and beat down, and we're dragging. Well, it's because we haven't refueled. Right? We're giving everybody else energy, everything else energy, but we're not refueling ourselves. So you got to know what it is that you need so that you can keep going. All right, because people will always want to get energy from you in some form or fashion. All right. So you got to know that there are things that you need to do in order for you to recharge. Whatever that is, that's on you. We talked about that when we talked about self care. Um, if there's an activity that you love, or if there's a project that you want to do, or if there's, family that you want to hang out with, or you want to, have a night out with the guys or the girls or whatever, if that's something that will energize you, then by all means, try and do those things. All right. Self love means taking care of your own needs. You need stuff. I'm talking to you. All right. You need things in your own life. Don't deny yourself the chance to have, things. If you are running around with your children, and one of them's got, soccer practice, and one of them's got basketball, one of them's got baseball, one of them got football and dance and gymnastics and all of that type of stuff, and you're being pulled, several different ways, you're going to have to find time to get some stuff that you need back. Okay. Let's just say you love a certain television show that's on Netflix or Hulu or something like that. And you feel like if you're able to just chill out, maybe binge watch a couple episodes, and that will refuel you. If that's what you need to do, then I suggest that you go ahead and do that. All right. Um, there's nothing wrong with taking time for yourself. There's nothing wrong with addressing the needs that you have. So make sure that you do that. If that's something that you need, hey, do it. If you need to go take a walk, if you need to go exercise, you know what I'm saying? Hey, and maybe there's a favorite food that you have that you love that will just make you happy. If that's what's going to do it, then do it. Okay. Have it. As long as it's not, in excess, go for it. You've got to take care of your own needs and not sacrifice your own self. Okay, let me rephrase that. You can't sacrifice your own well being to please others. Okay. Don't trade you for somebody else. I see it all the time, man. I see it all the time, especially, when I'm dealing with families in the place where I work. They run themselves down. They run themselves ragged, trying to make sure that, their family members taken care of. And you want to do that. I get it. You only have one body. You only have one mind. So you've got to be able to take care of that. I know you want to take care of your people. I know you want to make sure that everything's done, but you can't sacrifice you for something else. You only get one you. All right. I want to just make that clear. Don't sacrifice you for something or someone else. It's easy to do. It's easy to do because I know a lot of people who will say, "Oh, I think about X first. I'll put myself later. I'll think about this first. I'll do this first, and then I'll just think about myself. Later on down the line." Well, sometimes later gets further and further away, and further and further away, and at one point, later is going to be so far away that you can't even see it. So make sure that you are taking care of you when you need to. All right. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, I'll do that later. It's okay to say, you know what? I really want to help you, but right now I need to take care of some things for myself. It is okay to say that. It's okay to say those things. I'm telling you right now. It's hard to say no to people that you love. It's hard to say no to things that, you want to do. Sometimes no is healthy. No is healthy. Don't mistake no for, disappointing someone or making someone angry or making somebody frustrated, because ultimately it's going to be you that's going to pay for that sacrifice. So take care of you. So let's talk about why we don't take part in self-love, because it's easy to say those things. It's easy to say what it is, but it's hard for us to do it. All right. Hey, you're listening to the Humanity Project podcast. I'm your host, B Dubs, and we're talking about self love right now. If you have a comment or anything like that, you can hit up the email at the Humanity Project podcast at gmail.com. All right. So, how come we don't partake in self love? Well, lots of times it's got to do with our confidence. Most people who are uber confident, who seem like they are on top of the world, they have no problem loving themselves. Sometimes it can seem cocky and sometimes it can seem arrogant, but they don't have any problem taking care of themselves because they know who they are and they know what they need and they know that they need to take care of themselves before they take care of everybody else. Okay. So, your confidence level has a lot to do with, why you either love yourself or you don't. All right. And there are several different issues that will, make that happen. Your confidence being down. It could be, childhood traumas. There could be something that happened in your childhood that, made you angry or made you sad, made you feel inadequate. Any one of those things, and it could carry over to your adulthood if you have not, talked about it, or if you have not, been able to express it. Those things carry over. Also, abuse can deter self-love. And the thing about abuse is that the person who is being abused a lot of time will mistake the abuse for love. That person who's abusing, keeps doing that same thing, whether it's physical or mental, yelling at them or belittling them or hurting them. And the repetition of the action makes the person who's being abused feel like, oh, well, they do that because they love me. If they didn't, hit me, then maybe they don't love me. Or if they didn't yell at me, then, maybe they don't love me. Or if they didn't chastise me all the time and make me feel small, maybe that's their way of showing love. Nah, let's go ahead and nix that. Let's nip that in the bud. That's not correct. That's not true. No one should feel like they are abused. No one should have to go through abuse. None of that, whether it be, mental or physical. Nobody should feel like they're abused. And so that's another reason why people don't love themselves, because somebody else might be beating them down. And that's not good. And also, maybe you've gone through some stressful life situations. Maybe your money's low, or you're working a job and you're working your hands and feet to the bone and nobody's recognizing you. You haven't gotten a raise in several years. The pay stays right here, but the cost of living goes way up. You know what I'm saying? So you don't feel appreciated. Maybe there's a family issue has happened. There could be lots of different things that could cause you stress. It could be your health. You could have some diagnosis that you got from a doctor and it just hasn't sat well with you, and you're trying to figure out, how you're going to navigate that. Lots of different situations, and that can also make people not love themselves because they're dealing with the situation and they just feel like they're in despair. We've got to face what we dislike about ourselves also. We got to face those, fears, the things that we don't like about ourselves. For me, I have a self-esteem problem, and I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I have a self-esteem problem. Some days I might feel like I'm on top of the world, and some days I feel like I am, laying under the wheels of a bus. And some days it goes up and down. But I have to make sure that I understand that I am not worthless, that I am valuable, and so are you. I'm tell you right now, you have value, you mean something, and I want you to conduct yourself like you mean something. All right. No matter what anybody else says about you or to you, and I've heard this phrase a lot, and I know a lot of you have. It's not what people call you; it's what you answer to. Okay, so make sure that you are answering to the right thing. All right, if somebody is making you feel, like X, Y, and Z, and that's not true, then don't react to it. Easy to say that. Easy to say that. Harder to do it. But if you know in your heart that's not who you are, then that's you shouldn't respond to it. All right. So we've got to make sure that we face up to the things that we don't like about ourselves. It's like looking in the mirror. Okay, looking in the mirror every day, and you've got to come to terms with that person that's in the mirror that you look at every day. All right, you look at you more than you look at anybody else. You know you better than everybody. Okay, so I don't care whether it's your mother, your partner, your brother, sister, your kids. Nobody knows you better than you. And you know what it is that you are afraid of. You know the things that you avoid. And we've got to face that. In order to be able to truly love ourselves, we have to be able to face those things that we don't like about ourselves and make a decision to go ahead and change those things. Also, it could be something physical, and that's common. That's super common. People, are not pleased with their weight. They're not pleased with their the way they look. They're not pleased with maybe a feature. And if you can change those things, do those steps to change it. If you feel like, you want to lose some weight, hey, go and exercise. Go be proactive about wanting to, look like you want to. Okay. It could be guilt from a situation. A lot of people don't love themselves because they feel like, they've done something and they can't forgive themselves, or they can't, forgive another person if something has happened to them. Let me tell you something. We all will make mistakes. We all have made mistakes. We all will make mistakes. Nobody on this earth is perfect. And there will be situations where things will not go how you want them to go or think they should go. And it's natural to be sorry about them. It's natural to be, have some sort of sorrow. Those things are important because they carry sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like if you hurt somebody, it hurts you too. Especially once you realize the gravity of what has happened and how much it hurt that other person. Yeah, I mean, there's some grief involved in trying to get over that. There are lots of things that I've done in my life, and it took me a lot of time to get over my own grief from my mistake. And once I got over that part, and I don't know whether you fully, get over those types of things. You always have them in the back of your mind. And like I said, that's natural too. But on the whole, you got to get over that in order to be able to say, okay, well, I want to recover from this, and I want to love myself fully. So I need to be able to get past this. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get past it in, 2 days or a week or a month. Could be a year, 2 years, but you got to work toward trying to get over it, get past it so that you can move on with your life. So, okay, now let's get to ways that we can help love ourselves. All right. This is the Humanity Project Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, B Dubs, and I'm flipping the pages right now. Hey, you guys are making me a better note taker. Because I said in the last episode, I don't take notes very well, but this has made me realize that note taking is very, very important. So I took a lot of notes, and it's helping me, and hopefully it's helping you too. Now let's get to ways that we can achieve self-love. All right. First is be mindful of you. All right. You have to be aware of yourself. You got to be aware of, yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. You got to know how you think and how you feel. Having that absence of awareness will hinder your ability to be able to love yourself. Right? You got to know you. You got to be in tune with you. You know what I'm saying? Don't be so involved with other things that you don't Know who you are. All right. You got to know you. You wake up with you every morning. All right. So, hey, let's find ways to be able to be more mindful of ourselves and how we act to different situations, how we act, with different people, because all those things will combine to help us be more aware of who we are. Act on what you need instead of what you want. It's easy to go out there and get what we want. Those are more impulsive actions, things that we want. I want this and I see this, so I want this, and this looks good, so I want that. But what do you need? Right? Do you need to eat healthier? Do you need to go to this place instead of that place? Those are very, very tough decisions sometimes, because you always want what you want, but you don't necessarily always want what you need. So address your needs first and then address your wants. Practice good self-care. We talked about that, a couple of episodes ago, making sure that you do the things that you need to do for yourself. Physically, example, go to the doctor. Make sure that your physical health is where it needs to be, where it can be, Also mentally, if there are things that you need to do to relax, or things that you need to do to decompress, or maybe detach yourself a little bit so that you can feel more sane is not the right word, because I don't want to use sane, because none of you are crazy out there, but more in tune to yourself. All right, you can really get in depth with how you feel when you take some alone time. All right, when you do some stuff for yourself, and don't be afraid to take time for yourself. All right, being able to explore your feelings and explore your inner self is so important to be able to have love for you. Protect yourself. We talked about triggers last week. It's important to be able to protect yourself from those things that will hurt you. We talked about abuse earlier, and that's one of the easy things. But if you know that there are certain things or situations that will hurt you or will make you feel bad, avoid those situations, avoid those things. You don't want to constantly get into those situations where you feel bad and then you got to recover, and then you just jump back into the situation and then you got to recover. Protect yourself, protect your feelings. It's okay to protect your feelings. It's okay to protect your heart, protect your soul, protect your mind, all those types of things. It's very important for you to be able to do that. This is a really important one. Forgive yourself. We talked about, those feelings of guilt and those feelings of, maybe pressure, the things that you've done that you may look back on and say, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Forgive yourself. And that's hard. Forgiving yourself is harder than forgiving somebody else. All right. Trust me. I know that it's tough. To get to the road to love yourself fully, you got to forgive yourself for those things that have happened. And it's okay to forgive yourself. It's okay to tell yourself that, this happened and I acted a certain way and maybe I shouldn't have, or maybe I said the wrong thing to somebody, or, I made decisions that were hasty, whatever the situation is. All right. Forgive yourself, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to say, I love me and everything that comes with me. And although I make mistakes, I can still forgive myself for those mistakes. Okay. And also, the last thing I'll give you as far as loving yourself, and this is probably something that most of us have trouble with, and that's living on purpose, living purposefully. We do so many things that are for other people, but, are you doing things on purpose to help you? Are you doing things on purpose that are going to enrich your life? And it doesn't have to, be going on a vacation or taking this big old trip. It could be something as simple as reading. Are you enriching yourself? Are you doing things that are going to help you down the line? Or are you just, living in a shell? Are you just giving all your energy to somebody else and you're not, doing things for you, on purpose? You gotta be able to say, hey, me, I need to do some things for me, and it's got to be something that is going to help me grow. I've got to do something to enrich my own life, whether that's trying something new, or whether it's doing something that you love to do and it just makes you happy on purpose, then you got to do those things. All right. Live on purpose, live with a passion that says, I am me and I am full of life and I am full of opportunity and I am full of joy and happiness and greatness, and I need to display that, so I need to do these things for me on purpose. That's the only way we're going to be able to shine. We're going to shine. I want you to shine. I am a fan of people. I want everybody to win, and I want everybody to start loving themselves, because if we love ourselves, then it's going to be so much easier to love other people, and other people can see that. They know when you don't love yourself. They can hear it. It comes out of your pores. It's very, very obvious when you don't love yourself. And so I want you to love yourself. I want you to say that you are great and that you have all of the tools that you need to be able to just navigate this world and be the best person that you can be. Because if we all are the best people that we can be, man, this world would be a great place. I mean, we could conquer and do so much more than we ever thought that we could do if we all just take part in loving ourselves and just saying that we all are great people and we all are capable of doing great things. Okay, so self-love, let's do it. All right. And this is my homework for you. Pick out one thing that you don't particularly like about you. Write it down. And I want you to figure out some things that you can do to have more confidence in that thing. I'm not going to give you examples because there are tons of examples that I can give you that you could write down. All right, I'm going to let you do that. You write them down. One thing that you don't like about yourself, write it down and then figure out how you can improve on that thing. All right, that's going to help a lot towards self-love. All right. Hey, man, this has been a great conversation. This has been a great episode. Thank you for joining me here on the Humanity Project podcast. Thank you, YouTube, for viewing. Subscribe to the channel at the Humanity Project podcast. Also, join the community on Facebook and Instagram on the Humanity Project podcast. And also, if you want to get in touch with the show, go to the Humanity Project podcast at gmail.com. Drop us a line. We would love to hear from you. If you like the show, please let us know. You can also listen to the show on Tuesday nights on the Empire Radio. That's THA EmpireRadio.com every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host, B Dubs, and this is the Humanity Project podcast. And I also want you to show somebody compassion on purpose this week. All right, one person, because if you do that, then they will be more apt to be compassionate to the next person. Until next time, holla at your boy. Peace.